Hello chess friends and welcome to another game analysis. We are still in the round 6 of the Grand Chess Tour, placed in Zagreb, and this is the game between the Grandmaster Wesley and Grandmaster Shakhriyar Mamedyarov. Wesley opens the game with the knight f3, Mamedyarov play knight f6, then we have c4 and g6, so this is some kind of structure from the English chess opening. And we have knight to c3 and bishop to g7. So Mamedyarov just make the fianchetto of the dark colored bishop. We have e4, and then one very exciting move played by Mamedyarov. So he sacrificed the pawn and he played e5. That is completely free pawn, and white can grab it with his knight. But let's see what happens. So knight capture on e5, and then Mamedyarov makes the castle. His idea is to use e-file and make a strong attack. So knight goes back on the f3, and then we have rook to e8, attacks the pawn on e4. King is also standing on the e-file. So we have a move bishop to d3, and then knight capture on e4. So it looks that he's sacrificing piece, but here if the knight capture on e4, then Mamedyarov will go with the pawn on f5 and attack the knight. So that will later create a fork because bishop is on d3 and knight on f3, they can be under attack. So in this position, after knight capture on e4, Wesley recapture with his bishop, and then we have bishop capture on c3. Idea is to remove the knight because the knight was the piece which defends the bishop on square e4, and then we have d capture c4 and then rook capture on e4. Right now material is equal and it is white check the white king, so he can go with the king on f1 or put one of his pieces in front of the king, so he played bishop to e3, which is a good line. And then it is time for Mamedyarov to develop all his pieces because they are still on the starting position. We have d6 and then c5, after that d5 and h3. h3 is the idea to control the square g4. So Mamedyarov decided to develop his bishop on the other side, and he played b6, offered pawn to trade. So we have castle, and then bishop to b7, rook to e1, knight to d7, attacks the pawn on c5, and then knight goes to d2, wants to kick out the rook from the very good square on e4. So rook goes back on the e8, and then knight goes to b3, support the pawn on c5. We have a queen to h4 move, and then queen goes to d2. Idea of that move, queen d2, is to move the bishop on the square g5 that will attack the queen on h4. So Mamedyarov played the move f6, and then we have f4. So queen goes to h5, and then bishop goes to f2, offer a rooks for trade on the e-file. We have g5, and then c6. It looks that Wesley is sacrificing his pawn, so he makes the fork, but that pawn on c6 is not protected. So bishop capture on c6, that was a free pawn, and then knight goes to d4. Idea of that move is to activate his knight, so that's the reason why he sacrificed pawn on c6. Bishop goes back, and then we have knight to b5, then rook capture on e1. We have rook recapture on e1, and then rook goes to e8. They wants to trade the rooks on e-file, but first knight capture on c7, that will attack the rook on e8, and then rook capture on e1. We have queen capture on e1, and then move d4. Idea of that move is to open the light colored bishop, and he's now very strong using that a8 h1 diagonal, this one diagonal, and he attacks the pawn on g2. So in the future that will make some problems for white. We have queen to e7. Immediately wants to create a very strong attack on a black king. He attacks the knight, and the only way that Mamedyarov can choose is to move the queen back on f7, which will defend the knight and offer queens for trade. But Wesley is not interested of the queen trade, and he gives a check with the queen on d8, and after that it is check to king, so he needs to go somewhere with the king or block the check. So knight to f8 was played, and then bishop capture on the square d4. So he captured the pawn. Material is better for white. He's playing with an extra pawn, and black play g capture on f4. So we have knight to e8, threat to increase the pressure on f6, so he wants to capture with the knight. And then Mamedyarov played the last move. He played knight to e5, knight to e6, sorry, and then in this position he resigned because it is pointless to continue. So Wesley will probably continue with the best line, so which he will open the check because queen can give a check if we move the knight from the square e8. So he'll probably move the knight on f6, that will give a double check to king from the knight on the square f6 and from the queen to d8. So king needs to go on g7, that is the only move. And then he can give another discovered check. He can move the knight from that square. He can go, for example, knight to g4, that will open the check from the bishop. And if the knight capture on d4, queen capture on d4, and it is a winning position for white. He's playing with one extra pawn and his position is completely winning. So in the position after knight goes to a6, that was the last move Mamedyarov play, and he resigned. So that was the game from the round 6 of the Grand Chess Tour placed in Zagreb, and that was the game between the Grandmaster Wesley So and Mamedyarov Shakhriyar. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe, and see you in the next game analysis. Bye bye.